We'll be more in control.
The wrong answer to the right question.
Sponging off the system.
They're just people.
This is a town where everyone has an opinion about Brexit, but perhaps not the opinion you might expect.
You can't do this and you can't do that.
That was the whole point of it.
They're going to tell us what type of toilet roll we can use.
Today, many EU migrants call it home.
This is our life and we would like to stay.
Our own people have suffered.
Once a vibrant industrial town, now one of the poorest regions in Northern Europe, and receives millions of pounds from the EU. It's also a town that voted leave.
I was actually a few months too young to vote. Definitely a lot of people in my generation feel like they didn't have a voice, and we're going to be living with the results.
Would you say that the effects of Brexit are already starting to be felt?
10 miles that way, there's a factory that's actually closing, and the manufacturers outright said it's because of Brexit. We don't know what's happening.
Like many of the manufacturers in this area, they specialise in vehicle parts.
This German company is one of the largest employers in this town, and it's recently announced its plan to close the plant, citing Brexit as one of the reasons. For the over 200 employees here, the effects of Brexit are already starting to be felt.
These are relatively well-paid jobs for the community, have been relatively secure jobs. For the workers here to go out and find equitable jobs in the immediate area, it's going to be extremely difficult for them.
Do you feel like the future for Wales could be brighter outside of the European Union?
We actually receive more money than we contribute. We have had no assurances to date that that funding is going to be maintained.
There's so many empty shops in the town centre that people walk through, there's nothing to do.
And what are you hoping that will happen after Brexit that will change the things that you are unhappy about?
Be more in control of things that happen in our country. It's going to be a struggle for a while, but hopefully little businesses will flourish again and start to pick up.
There is one new shop on the high street. This Polish mini market has been running just a month, but business seems to be booming.
Not just a Polish or English, there's many different peoples came visiting this shop.
Many of the industries here, from agriculture to manufacturing, rely on EU migrants, but that doesn't mean that everyone here is in favour of freedom of movement. In a nearby hardware store, the owner is a well-known Brexiteer.
The particularly heavy influx in terms of numbers of migratory workers has impacted on the potential employment opportunities for UK-born people. I do have a problem when I think of migrants who are maybe coming in and sponging off the system.
What does sovereignty mean to you?
I'd like to think that we were British as opposed to European. Now, I do have my good friend who's sat by the side of me. He tends to feel that we're very much Europeans.
And you need to be big nowadays. Look, I mean, there's 1 billion Chinese, 1 billion Indians, 500 million Americans. You've got to have a big country to have a good sway. And to be a small one who thinks it's got a great empire, those days are gone. I've heard a lot of people in this area who only can say, oh, immigration, we're going to stop. And the things they're saying about people are wrong. Some of it would vie on neo-Nazism.
Migrants make up around 10% of the town's population, just below the Welsh average. I got chatting with a Polish couple in a nearby bar.
Did you vote in the referendum?
It should be British people say because it's them country.
Probably I would vote to leave because I don't believe in EU.
This is getting complicated. Are they not concerned about their future here?
Here we bought house and we've got 2 children. They've been born in here, and this is our life in here, and we would like to stay.
I don't think that the politics would take drastic measures just to get rid of immigrants who are given a massive impact on economy. So that would be like,
Economic suicide?
Exactly.
But some migrants might not even want to stay.
Is British pound be have value or not? Because maybe would be no make sense staying over here for the same money.
Have you noticed anyone already starting to make plans to leave?
Well, a lot. Who be driving the bus? Who will be working over here? In Asda example. You know what I mean?
And who will be working on the farms? Agriculture is big business in Wales, with farms currently receiving around £300 million a year from the EU. Outside Llanelli, Howell Richards runs the largest dairy farm in Wales. He employs 36 staff, 20 from Eastern Europe.
If we take away this imported staff, we're not going to get all of a sudden 20 people from Carmarthen going to come up and say we want to milk your cows or we want to feed your calves. It's just not going to happen.
Why not?
Because they just don't want to do it. If a British worker turned up here today looking for a job, we would find a position for them, because it is quite rare to see a British person looking for a job. Although we haven't had Brexit yet, we've already had the implications of Brexit. We would buy somewhere around about £3 million worth of animal feed a year, which the majority of that is traded in dollars. Currency alone would probably have added about £300,000 to our feed bill this year.
Adam Price of Plaid Cymru showed me the town centre's EU-funded regeneration project.
How many people do you think in this town know that this theatre, this chapel received EU money?
It's a good question, and I think that probably there are questions to ask as to whether we've been as upfront about that as we should have been. In Ireland, for example, you'd see massive EU flags outside projects that were built with European Union money, whereas projects like this have been great. Many people will feel, well, what's that done for me? I used to be a steel worker, I used to be a coal miner, etc. What is good is this? I can't even pay money to go and buy a ticket to go to the shows in this theatre.
Llanelli's state-of-the-art rugby stadium was part EU funded, but its relocation to a new development on the outskirts has caused resentment.
Growing up as a child in Llanelli, it's all you've followed really was the rugby, so...
Rugby is clearly a local passion, but should it be a financial priority?
Why is it important to spend £27 million on this rugby stadium?
The most recent economic impact reports that we've done is estimating that the contribution into the local economy was around 17 million a year and rising. We also provide a practical employment opportunity, which includes apprenticeships, traineeships and so on.
But with the stadium now located out of town, how much of that 17 million is actually boosting the town centre? Whether EU funds have been well spent here is the subject of much debate. Erica set up the Ismooth cafe using EU funds after failing to find work for her son Michael. It employs young people with learning disabilities, offering them the chance to work and contribute to the community.
Is the future of Ismooth secure?
I don't think so, because the economy at the moment is, the cost of everything is rising. I think it'll be a big impact as a place where people meet, especially the elderly and the vulnerable. It'll be a huge impact to the clients that we support. It'll be an impact onto the council because they'd have to take back care. It'll cost them about an extra £300,000 a year for funding 14 clients.
Pearl's a regular customer.
The majority of people have voted out of Brexit. The government is still squabbling. The voices of people are not being heard.
Although her son worked here on an EU-sponsored scheme, she voted leave.
We've got a lot of people in this country that's in need. I know people want to have a better home for their children and their families, but there are also people that are coming in, right, that have perfectly got a country of their own. They're living in Wales, right, they're claiming benefits. Our own people suffer, in other words.
A recent poll suggests the town would now vote Remain by a small margin. Despite the impact of Brexit already being felt, There are some people here who clearly feel there is nothing left to lose. Others have a lot to lose. They differ on solutions, but people's concerns here sound similar: jobs, investment, and a stake in their own future.